Hello students, today I am going to take your new subject, that is Indian business environment. In this subject we will be covering the business environment, what is business, what is environment, altogether what is business environment, and this business environment will be discussed with Indian context. Our unit 1 will be covering the nature, components, determinants of business environment, basic structure of Indian economy, growth, trends, basic nature of Indian economic system, and its impact on environment, social responsibility of business, and latest economic policy with broad features. The learning objectives of today's session will be what is business, what is environment, what is business environment, its nature, its objective, its importance, and a little bit about the introduction of the type of business environment. See, carefully see the picture. You might be seeing that there are many people sitting around a table and working on the same type of work. This signifies the business. This signifies the business because all the people are working for the common goal. That's why they are sitting around one table and working on the same type of job. This signifies that all are working towards the single goal. And what is business? Business is basically entity or the enterprise set up by the entrepreneur who is working for the common goal. So let's see around the business. If I see around the business who are completely focused on their business, there is policies and procedures which is shown with the pillars which is influencing the business. Then we have the cloud with a threatening light, that is basically the natural disasters which come and impact the business. There is a group of people who are against the business or the favor of business, it all depends, but normally against is considered. Then we can see there many of the people are signified with different colors and doing different type of tasks. This signifies the competitors. And laptop is signifying your technological external factor, that means technology, changing technology. And the dollar sign and the graph shows your Sensex market and the shares value of the organization. So you can see clearly from this picture that the business have a surrounding environment which impacts on it. It is not only the factors which are controllable factors that is impacting the business, because controllable factors are in your control. So the entrepreneur, if she sees that there is a problem in the internal factors, he can make amendments, he can change it, he can amend them according to their need. But you have seen that there are certain external factors like technology, like financial system, economic system, competitors, policies and procedures, that is political system, and natural disasters which are impacting the business, but they are uncontrollable factors. So I will say that business is surrounded by an environment basically. So that is the need why we have to study this subject which is known as the business environment, because in business environment we will be studying the internal factors as well as the external factors. So first of all, we come to what actually a business is. Business is a human activity carried out by the unified efforts of different categories of the people to produce the wealth through production and distribution of the goods and services. Basically, if I talk about the business is what? When an entrepreneur gets some idea, a unique idea of the product or the services which is not there in the market, which is not there in the society, which is not there in the competitive environment, but if it is existing, then you have something new to add to it. That means if you think you have some innovative idea, some creative thinking is there, or a blend of creation and innovation is there, then you go for starting up a business. So it's a human activity, and the efforts are done basically. What is the main ultimate goal of the business? Is the surplus profit. So it's a human activity carried out by the unified efforts of the different categories of the people to produce the wealth. And from where you get the wealth, where you earn the profits, that is through the production of the goods or the distribution of the goods. That means you are working as a manufacturing organization, or you are working as a manufacturing organization, or you are working as a trader, or you are providing the services. All the three type of categories comes under the business. So if I talk about the technical definition of business, according to Malvin Anshan, business is the way by which men make their living. According to Baird O. Wheeler, business is an institution organized and operated to provide goods and services to the society under the incentive of the private gain. The language is being changed, but the Baird O. Wheeler and the Malvin Ahsan both are saying the same thing, that we are doing the business and the business is done so that the men make their living, because products are either used for the living, basic living needs are fulfilled by the product made by the businessmen or business enterprises, or that is for the luxury living. So basic needs are fulfilled or the luxury needs are fulfilled. So ultimately basically the customer utilizing it, and from that we are earning the gain, private gain, or we can say incentive of the private gain. That means we are earning the surplus profit. This is known as the business. Next we come to the environment. The birth, growth and continuous development of organization are influenced by a wide range of variables like employees, customers, suppliers, producers, competitors, etc. When I talk about the environment, the people who are basically impacting the business starts when it is at the startup phase. It is known as the birth of the business. When it starts growing, that is the growth phase of the business. Then we keep on the continuous development of the working for the continuous development of the business. So majorly divided, it has three phases: birth, growth and continuous development. Some of the organization also reach the mature stage and see the downfall also, but majorly we will talk about the birth, growth and continuous development, and these are influenced by a wide range of variables, in which we come the employees. The employees are the strength or pillar of the organization. If you have very good employees, they will lead your organization from 0 to 100. But if the employees are not up to the mark, or they are not loyal to the organization, they can lead your downfall to the organization. Customer satisfaction is a very big criteria, because if customer is satisfied, by word of mouth he will be spreading the good about your organization, about your product, which will lead to the increase in the customers and the sale of the products. Suppliers, producers, who are, if you are a trader, then who is producing goods for you, and the suppliers who are supplying the raw material to you, the competitors who are along with you, all make the business environment. So basically, now we come, what exactly is business environment? I will say that business environment consists of the surrounding factors that either help or hinder the development of the process. You can see that in between we have the business growth and the job creation, and in the surrounding circle there are 5 major factors. Number 1, legal and regulatory environment. Number 2, economic environment. Number 3, technological environment. Number 4, social environment, and number 5 is competitive environment. We will study in detail all these type of environments. We will be studying the types of environment in detail. That will be covered in tomorrow's or day after tomorrow's sessions. So Business environment together refers to those aspects. Business environment refers to those aspects of the surrounding of business enterprise which affect or influence its operations and determine its effectiveness. According to Keith Davis, business environment is the aggregate of all conditions, events, and influence that surrounds and affects it, basically. Now we come to the next topic, that is our nature of Indian business environment. If I talk about the nature of Indian business environment, it's a complex one. It's a highly complex business environment. Is a complex entity. It is difficult to study because environment consists of a number of factors. We have seen that we classified the complete factors into 5 factors, but it is not so. These 5 factors have their sub factors, and there also we have the controllable factors, the uncontrollable factors, when and information should be up to date, otherwise you lose. So when I talk about the environment, it's really a complex entity to study, or a complex entity to keep in mind, because all the decisions are depending on the factors. So environment consists of a number of factors, events, conditions arising from different sources. All the 5 factors can generate different type of the conditions. So arising from different sources which impact business, thus making the business complex, and this thing is making the business complex. Interdependence, factors affecting business environment like social, economic, legal, cultural, etc. are interdependent. You can see nothing can work in independent. If I talk about the external environment, if I talk about the society, if I talk about any of that, there is a chain. If I talk about the business, there is a supply chain. So whenever I talk about anything, there is a chain, and A is feeding B, and B is feeding C, and C is feeding D, or A is linked to B, B is linked to C, or C is linked to D. Whenever any changes come in the economic strength of the country, automatically some legal changes takes place. If you are making changes in the legal system, then it will lead to changes in the economic growth. Cultural system also basically impact your economic condition of the society. Social factors also impact. So they are interlinked with each other. When they are interlinked with each other, so interdependence exists. For example, a rich country can make sufficient expenditure on the research and development, but the developing country cannot afford to do that much. So basically, it all depends upon the environment. It's dynamic in nature. Third is dynamic in nature. Business environment is dynamic as it keeps on changing in terms of technological improvements, changes in consumer preferences, entry of new competitors. So market is never stagnant. Today's customer is so much advanced that the requirement of the customer is changing day by day. If I talked about a mobile phone which was launched 2 years back, is now outdated. People are not using it. If I talk about a television which came normally, now it has an advanced version. Similarly, if I talk about even many factors are basically, if I talk about the pandemic environment, due to pandemic environment, we were on the offline teaching mode, and suddenly because of that, we have to upgrade ourselves. Technology has to be advanced, and now we are working on the online teaching mode. So basically, it's a dynamic environment which is impacting the business environment. So we can say the Indian business environment has a dynamic nature. Then is uncertainty. Business environment is unpredictable. Is largely uncertain as it is difficult to predict future happenings, because as I have already told you in the picture that we have a natural disaster. Recently in Kolkata there came a tsunami, there came some natural disasters happen. So you cannot control these. You have you are having somewhat control over these conditions, but you cannot control them completely. So basically it's an uncertain things, and these things impact your business environment. And the highly or the appropriate example is this pandemic. No one may have dreamed of that Due to COVID-19, we will have a lockdown of 2-3 months together, and after that followed by partial lockdown, and now it has totally changed the environment or the society or the way of working. So it's highly uncertain. Even the government rules, policies, everything has changed. So it's a high uncertainty nature of the business environment. Next is relativity. Business environment is a relative concept as it differs from country to country and region to region. For example, demand of sari is high in South India, but in North India it is less. Demand of sari is high in India compared to other countries. So even if I talk about the culture in the India itself, it's a big country. From one state to another state, there might be demand changing. There might be the things changing. Then is the specific and general forces. Specific forces affects individual enterprises directly and immediately, whereas general forces have impact on all business enterprises. Forecasting is not possible for all developments. Many developments such as interest rate, fluctuations, the rate of inflation, etc. are difficult to predict on long-term basis, which makes difficult to maintain business environment. And the best example for this is inflation and fluctuations is your share market, your economic rates, economic associations. So this is the nature of the Indian business environment. Next, we come to the objectives of the business environment. When I talk about the objective of the business environment, it is the knowledge of information. As I have already told you, external factors are impacting the business. And when the external factors are impacting, that means you should have the information of what is going to happen, so that a businessman has a plan B, plan B, or plan C ready. In case something happens, they are able to modify the plan. So knowledge of information, every businessman should be aware about the current environment of the business to change accordingly in needs. Number 2 is basis of decision. It contains all the information which is needed for taking good decision. For example, if a business knows about its competitors, suppliers, customers, they take decision about price, purchase, salary, etc. It is necessary to study the external environment and take the decision. Because if you do not study the competitor product or competitor policies, then how will you sustain in the market and keep your customers attracted to your products in coming future too? Otherwise, the competitor will take over your product. So it is necessary that you should have all the information, on the basis of information you should take the timely and the correct decisions. Then is the help in making the policies. For making good business policies, one need to know and scan business through business environment. Next is technological planning. In today's environment, it is really important for the business houses to keep themselves changing according to the technological changes in the market. If you do not upgrade as far as the technology is concerned, it might be happen that you face a shutdown. So you have to plan for the technological aspect also. It is really very important. If I say in this era after pandemic or COVID-19, it has become necessity. The organizations are doing virtual meetings, they are having virtual labs, they are performing the virtual things. So basically, technology's role has increased at a very high rate in these 5 months. Survive in the business, sometimes industry may face recession. In such conditions, only those business will survive who estimate this entire situation in advance through business environment study. Now we come to the importance of business environment. When I talk about the importance of business environment, it's really very important for a businessman to study the business environment, because business environment leads to a lot many of the opportunities and failures of the business. So I should say that there is a close and continuous interaction between the business and its environment. This interaction helps in strengthening the business firm and using its resources more effectively. resources more effectively, business environment help in the success of the business environment. So I can say that the business environment is multifaceted, complex, and dynamic in nature, and has a far reaching impact on the survival and growth of the business. So, to be more specific and proper understanding of the social, political, legal, and economic environment helps the business in the following ways. The number one is the determining opportunities and the threats. When I talk about determining opportunities is that threat, the business idea even get generated from the environment. The problem which is existing in the environment becomes the solution. If you are able to find out the solution of the problem, you have an idea to generate the business, you have an idea to start the business. So the interaction between the business and its environment would identify opportunities for the business, and it also builds the threats for the business, because if you are not changing with the time, you are not upgrading yourself, it will bring a threat to the business. And if you are innovative, you are creative, it is bringing opportunities to you. So it helps the business enterprise for meeting the challenges successfully. As I take the recent example of business environment in pandemic 19, there was a complete lockdown, and that lockdown was for around 2 months. So all the companies were closed. No work, supply chain was stopped, no work was done in the organizations. So many of the industries look opportunity in the problem. The bag making industries have the sewing machines. They work on the cloth and the sewing machines only. So they look for the opportunity in this business. They thought that they come up with the idea that India is not self-sufficient in making the mask, and the supplied product of the China was very bad in quality or not up to the mark. So government also supported them. They got the approval for making the mask in within few hours, and they converted their machine a little bit. They made some little bit of changes in their machines to keep the measure of the mask and other things, and they started making the mask. So they started their business. So for 3 months other industries were on shutdown, but they were doing the work. They have started. Some of the industries started working on the ventilators, example Mahindra, that is an automobile giant, but in that case they started making the ventilators. Some chemical industries like SRF started making their sanitizers. So they took opportunities from the environment itself. Number two is giving direction for the growth. The interaction with the environment lead to opening up new frontiers of growth for the business firms. When you go and interact with the environment, it leads to opening of new frontiers of growth, because you are able to see how you can grow in the business. So you can make the new strategies, and those strategies can be implemented for the success of the business. It enables the business to identify the areas for growth and expansion of their activities. Number three is continuous learning. Environmental analysis makes the task of manager easier in dealing with business challenges. The managers are motivated to continuously update their knowledge, understanding, and skills to meet the predicted changes in realm of the business. So it is necessary that you keep yourself updated, and continuous learning is required. Otherwise, you will get obsolete from the market. Then is the image building. When I talk about the image building, environmental understanding helps the business organizations in improving their image by showing their sensitivity to the environment within which they are working. And because of that only, many of the organizations are taking care of flora and fauna. They are giving a lot of many things in many forms to the society. That means they are taking care of the environment. For example, in view of the shortage of power, many companies have set up their captive power plants, CPP, in their factories to meet their own requirements of the power, because they cannot stop building the or manufacturing of the products that may impact the customers. Then is the meeting competition. When I talk about the competition, it helps the firm to analyze the competitors, their strategies, and on the basis of that, formulates their own strategies. And last one is the identify firm strength and weaknesses, which is the most important aspect. Business environment helps to identify the individual strengths and weaknesses in view of technological and the global development. This is basically identify firm strength and the weaknesses. So this is the importance of business environment. Now we come to the types of business environment. Broadly classified, if I say, business environment is divided into two types, that is internal environment and the external environment. If internal environment is further divided into plans and policies, human resources, financial resources, corporate image, plant and machinery, labor management relationships. And if I talk about the external environment, it can be divided into two major types, that is micro environment and macro environment. If I talk about the micro environment, it is further divided into customer, competitors, suppliers, society, whereas macro environment can be divided into 5 more parts, that is demographic, economic, technological, political, and cultural. So with this we finishes your lecture. I hope you have understood, and we will be studying about the internal external environment in next lecture. In next we will be covering your complete internal and external environment. So thank you very much for patience listening. If you have any query, please you can send the queries to urvesh.chaudhary@acem.edu.in, or you can send the WhatsApp to my WhatsApp number, that is 9810 67809. Thank you so much. Thank you.